Just hold on to the truth. Don't accept a substitute. The dragon's angry and his days are few. He's after me, he's after you.
What you see here is oozing, a liquid oozing out of the stock here. Okay, I'm drying my rifle, and it looks like I'm drying my rifle in the oven, but I'm not actually drying it with the oven heat. What I'm doing is I'm using an infrared light here. I just have it lying on the oven rack because it's a nice place where it'll hold some heat in here. And I don't want to heat it too hot, of course, but this is December and it's pretty cool in our house. And to help this stock dry out quicker, I'm using an infrared heat lamp. And it's not too hot, but it is warm to the touch. And the stock appears to be dry now, but there's some oozing, and where the oozing is coming from is right here on the back and on the front. It's right where the hand goes, right here and right here. And I don't know if this is oil coming from the receiver right here or oils from the hand, but it appears to be more of a water-based fluid. But what I don't want is when I get this rifle completed and I'm sitting it on the ground in the sun and it gets hot, I don't want liquid to start oozing out of the stock. So I want it to dry until this stops oozing. This is warm right here with the heat lamp close to it. This is pretty warm to touch. It's not, I mean, it's a little hot. Not hot enough to damage the wood, of course, but hot enough to get this liquid to ooze out. And I want this oozing to quit before I continue working on this stock. And it takes several days for this wood to dry out completely, so don't rush this part of the job. Okay, first I'll make sure that the shellac is very well mixed. Then I'll take a toothpick, and first holes I want to work on are these little knot holes right here. Put just a tiny bit of shellac in those little holes. Oops, too much. And in the gouges. Then I'll start sanding, always sanding with the grain of the wood, of course. Okay, this is a deeper gouge, so I'll have to do it a couple of times. You can see these have already been filled in. And I will continue this process as I'm sanding the rifle, a little more here. Here we have a tiny little crack. Crack only goes to right here, and I'm going to glue this crack. I don't think this will interfere with the integrity of the stock, because there's a metal band that fits on this and holds this tight, but I still want to glue this crack. And what I will do is I will put some glue on here, take a piece of paper and work the glue like this between the crack. Then use a little clamp to clamp this tight and let it dry overnight, and then continue my refinishing process. I'm going to force the crack apart slightly so I can get the glue in the crack. So I have the glue in the crack, and the crack is clamped tight. Wipe off the excess glue. And let that sit for overnight. Then I can sand this off and it'll look just like brand new again. These are the products that I'm using to refinish my rifle stock: walnut stain, true oil gun stock finish, stock sheen and conditioner, and then gun stock wax. Starting with the walnut stain, as I showed you before, first thing I did was I filled in the imperfections, the nicks and the scratches with shellac, and sanded the stock with 220 grit. Once I had the imperfections filled in, I used a finer sandpaper, 320 grit, and 4-knot steel wool to get it to a nice smooth finish. Then I wiped off the dust with a tack cloth after the shellac had had plenty of time to dry. I gave it a full day to dry. Then I applied the walnut stain with this brush, let it soak in, and this is what it looks like after the walnut stain. This is what it looks like after the walnut stain. I allowed it to dry for 2 days. Here you can see, this is a piece with the crack that I repaired right here. As you can see, it is totally imperceptible. The crack, which was right here, is invisible. This is what the stock looks like at this point after applying the walnut stain and allowing it to dry for a couple of days. My next step, after allowing the walnut stain to dry for 2 days, will be to apply the true oil gun stock finish, and I will rub the oil into the stock, saturate the stock with the oil, and then I'll use a very fine 320 grit sandpaper and wet sand the stock using the oil, and that will help fill in all the little grains in the wood. And that's what we're going to do right now. First, I'll saturate the wood with true oil. Directions say to apply it to the wood and then allow it to soak into the wood, and then allow it to dry for 24 hours. And then we will apply the wet sanding technique. This is the procedure I will use to clean all of the metal parts of the gun. What I have here is aluminum pan. I have a little pan of warm water here. I have my simple green to cut the grease, a toothbrush, and I use strike hold as a metal conditioner. You can use others, of course. Break free, I've heard, is also a good one, but I like strike hold. What I have here is mostly the parts of the stock that I took apart. I haven't taken the rest of the rifle apart yet, but I'll use this exact same procedure for all of the metal parts. And what I'll do first is just spray everything down real good with the simple green. There's the gas plug. And let that sit just for a minute to allow the simple green to do its job. It might loosen up any stubborn grease with the toothbrush. Then I'll just simply drop the pieces in the warm water. Now what I'll do is I will take these out of the water, check them, make sure they're clean, dry them off, and to make sure that they're completely dry, I'll put them in an oven, about 200 degrees oven, and to make sure they get completely dry. And then once they're dry, I will spray them down good with the strike hold metal conditioner, and then I'll wipe it off, making sure I get it into all the little crevices. And that will be it for the metal parts. Okay, I just took my parts out of a 200-degree oven, and to dry them off, the good thing, what a 200-degree oven will do, of course, is it will get all the water out of the little holes and the little crevices. So what I'll do now is spray all the parts with my strike hold metal conditioner. I want to get them completely covered. What I'll do now is just wipe off the parts. And when I wipe off the parts, I'm not just wiping off the excess oil, I'm also making sure that it gets down into all of the little crevices. This metal conditioner penetrates into all the pores of the metal. Protects it from rust and also reduces friction. This strike hold can be used not only as a conditioner but also as a lubricant and a cleaner. I use it to clean, just for the routine cleaning of the metal parts of my firearms. And it goes into the pores and leaves the metal with a nice slick feel, reducing friction and reducing wear, and it's a great lubricant. Now these parts are ready to go back together. I do the same procedure with all the metal parts. When I break the gun down, take apart the trigger group and the receiver, I'll break the gun down to break it all the way down and clean it with the same procedure, using a simple green as a degreaser, then dry it, then use strike hold as a metal conditioner, and then it's ready to put back together and ready to go.
Just hold on to the truth. Don't accept a substitute. The dragon's angry and his days are few. He's after me, he's after you.
Don't take part in this conspiracy. It's being led by the evil one.
He's so confusing. Can you resist him? He brought angels crashing down. Just keep your mind